Folk the starting wrapper provided in the resources of this video. This is the step 1 of the Hangman project. In this step, we have 3 to-dos. The first one is to randomly choose a word from the list provided and assign it to a variable called chosen word. The second to-do is to ask the user to guess a letter and assign their answer to a variable called guess. Then what you have to do is you have to make the user's guess to lowercase, since they could input a guess that's uppercase, and if we don't convert it to lowercase, it is not going to work. Then the third and final to do is to check if the letter the user guessed, meaning the guess, is one of the letters in our chosen word. So if the chosen word was camel and the user chose A, then we have to check, is A in camel? If it is, then we can print something like right. But if the user chose something like Z, which is not in camel, we can print wrong. So pause the video and complete each of these to-dos. So let's complete the first to-do. The first to-do says to randomly choose a word from the word list. So to do that, we would have to use the random module. So first we will import it. So input random. And now what we are going to do is create a variable called chosen word, like they have provided right over here in the to-do. And inside that, we are going to select a random word from the word list and store it inside the chosen word. So we are going to use the random.choice function, which we have already learned about. All it does is it selects a random element from a list. So we will provide our list. And now let's check if this works. So I will print the chosen word like so. And let's run the code. And as you can see, it randomly chose camel. If I run it again, it shows absolute. So our to-do 1 is working completely fine. So let's move on to the second to-do. It says to ask the user to guess a letter and assign their answer to a variable called guess. And then we have to convert it to lowercase. So this seems pretty easy. We have to create a variable called guess. And then we just have to ask the user guess a letter. Like so. And now all we have to do is we have to convert this into lowercase by using the .lower function. And now let's print this out as well to check if this works. So I will run the code now. So this is the randomly guessed word. Let's input a capital letter like G, and as you can see, it converted it into lowercase and printed it out. So our second to-do is also working completely fine. So now let's move on to the third to-do. So to do this, we have to understand how we can loop through the letters in a word. And you can Google this out, but it is just as simple as looping through a list. So we are going to use the for loop, and for letter in our chosen word, we are going to perform something. So when we use something like this, it is just going to loop through each of the letters inside our chosen word. And now all we have to do is we have to check, is that letter in our chosen word equal to the guess? If it is, then we can print right. So what's happening is the user is going to guess a single letter. Let's say it's something like A. And let's say our chosen word is camel. So what's going to happen is we are going to loop through each of the letters of this word camel, and each time we are going to check for each of these letters if that letter is equals to A or the guess that the user chose. If it is, then we are going to print out right, but if it isn't, then we'll just print wrong, like so. Now if we run the code and let's say we guess a letter A. Now A is in camel at the second digit, so we got right. Now I will actually comment out this print statement so we don't get confused by that, and let's run it again. So we have the word absolute. I will choose S, which is at the third position, and as you can see, it says wrong for each of the other letters, but at the third position, meaning S, it is giving us right. So that was the first step of the Hangman project solved. In the next video, we are going to be completing the second step. So I will see you there.